Look, I think we're all here for a reason, but if we looked at the horror we saw on the TV and there's nothing we could do about it, then we wouldn't be here. It would be awful, but there'd be no point in being here. So I think the message of this meeting needs to be, yes, what's going on is awful, but it equally needs to be, there's a lot we can do about it. And I think, we can look to history for that. The Viet Cong went up against America, the biggest state in the world. They were peasants, and they won. And South Africa, the black people of South Africa went up against apartheid. It had been entrenched for 100 years. The white people controlled 90% of the wealth. And they won. And Palestine Action in the UK, they've got a few hundred activists. They took on Elbit Systems, the biggest arms manufacturer in Europe. They were, until recently, in the top 5 biggest donors to the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. They're massive. And they've closed down 2 of their weapons factories in the past year or 2. And this didn't happen in isolation. The people of Vietnam did not get equality because they fought back alone. The people of South Africa did not win equality because they fought back alone. It's because the American state and the South African state could not only not take the problems at home, but they could not take the problems abroad. In the UK, we are the 2nd biggest donor to Israel. And to be completely honest, if it wasn't for America, and if it wasn't for Britain, what would be going on in Gaza would not be happening. So we do have a role to play. Speaking of South Africa, it was only yesterday that the Israeli embassies were closed down and the diplomats were expelled. And the South African government did not do that because they cared about the people of Gaza. It's because they were forced to do that. This has happened in Ireland, this has happened in France, and this has happened in South Africa, and there's absolutely no reason it cannot happen here. And I think there's one more point that really needs to be made before I shut up. In the Stop the War movement 20 years ago, we had 2 million people march in London. And we almost stopped the war. And it's only in that hindsight and afterwards, 20 years later, that we can look back on it and we can realise how close we were to stopping the war. And now let's look at that. We don't know where we are now, we don't know how close we are. But let's not look back in 20 years and think if we'd gone that one step further, what would have gone different? So we need to keep pushing, we need to keep fighting, and we need to get a ceasefire in Gaza. Thank you.